Welcome everyone to another video, and today we're going to take a look at Machoke, the little brother of Machamp. So everyone has been using Machamp all this while, especially Shadow Machamp, and I would like to take a look at how Machoke does. And we're going to use Purified Machoke because Machoke alone does not have any coverage move, it's all fighting. So the moveset that we are using for Machoke today is Karate Chop, Cross Chop, and Return. Two things to note here: you can only get Return from when purifying a Shadow Pokemon. In this case, a Machamp, and also Cross Chop is a legacy move. Therefore, you most probably have to use your Elite Charge TM in order to obtain it. So as you can see from this lead in the first game, we won against Electrode by swapping into Alolan Ninetales because it's just very spammy. And after that, they brought in their Machamp, and we have a solid answer at the back with Jellicent. Bring it back in, and at their last mon, they have a Confusion Psyduck. So it was a good call to not bring in the Machoke against the Machamp. But here we thought that we could win the CMP tie with the Golduck. But turns out they only were able to throw a Cross Chop, which is not very effective against Jellicent because it's a Ghost type, and we brought in a Machoke later on just to Karate Chop the Machamp down. So the thing about Karate Chop is it got a buff in the middle of Season 7 where it became like a Vine Whip clone. So it reaches to the Karate Chop very quickly. It only needs around 5 Karate Chops to get to a Cross Chop. So in a way, it is very good to cover Jellicent's weakness to the Dark type mons, or even to do damage to the normal type mons that you might see in the meta, such as Snorlax or Munchlax for that matter. So in the second game here, they brought in the Galarian Stunfisk to go against our Alolan Ninetales, which is actually quite a solid counter to Alolan Ninetales if it had Charm. But if it has Powder Snow, and if it has a energy advantage, as you can see here, it will wreak havoc on the Galarian Stunfisk, because the Stunfisk will not be able to outspam the Alolan Ninetales. Of course, Alolan Ninetales is able to tank one Rock Slide, but since it's able to outspam in the 2 shields, it can really put a lot of pressure on Galarian Stunfisk to match the shields. And they have Azu at the back, just like in the first game. Since Azu is a very common pick, having Jellicent there in the lead, especially to help out with it, is very crucial. Because most of the Azumarils that we can see run Ice Beam or Hydro Pump, but in this case it is running the standard Play Rough. It's running Play Rough for maybe an additional Dark type coverage, and especially if it is an Ice Beam Hydro Pump, Azumaril Jellicent will really do work on it. And as you can see here, we didn't manage to throw out the Weather Ball on the Galarian Stunfisk, which is unfortunate. But we have the Machoke here to seal the deal for us against the 1 HP health Azumaril. And going on to a third game, right? What I would say about Machoke is that it it has some additional bulk definitely to Machamp, because Machamp is the last evolution line. Usually the last evolution line is less bulky than their pre-evolution in the lower leagues because of the higher CP cap. And here our opponent has swapped in a Flareon, which is very interesting. Not a lot of Flareons that you are able to see in the Great League because it's quite frail and it doesn't have that much of a great moveset. Usually people will run Fire Spin, Last Resort, and most probably Flamethrower, but here you see that they throw a Fire Blast at Jellicent, which even though it's resisted because it's such a hard-hitting move, most probably it will have done a lot of damage on Jellicent. And knowing that one of their moves is Fire Blast, we could just safely shield here, not knowing that they don't have the energy for another one. And they brought back in Scrafty, and we have the Machoke there. Gonna clean the Scrafty off the board, and they brought back in the Flareon. Here we're just gonna Karate drop down aggressively for all that energy. And here they have a Water Gun Wish Cache. So for Wish Cache in this case, you would rather run a Mud Shot variant since you will get to the Mud Bomb and Blizzard faster. And here we can see how much Machoke with Return does. That's more than 50% health on Wish Cache, wiped out straight away, no questions asked. So Machoke with the Return has some play in turning things around, especially if it does not resist Return. In this case, Wish Cache had the unfortunate honor of getting hit by the first Return from Machoke in this video. And here they brought in Tentacruel in our fourth match. Tentacruel is not a good Jellicent counter because all of its moveset, whether it is Poison Jab, Hydro Pump, Blizzard, or even for that matter Acid Spray or Sludge Wave, will be resisted by the Jellicent. And here we try to bring in Machoke to try to farm for more energy, and we do get a lot of energy here, but then again they came back in with Talonflame. We tried to be sneaky here and hit the Return, which we are able to hit. Look at that amount of damage on a full health Talonflame, right? That's more than 70% gone from the Talonflame, and they have to shield here in order to preserve their Talonflame for later on. We managed to get another Hex in from Jellicent, and the Talonflame tried to Brave Bird our Jellicent, and they brought in, I'm not sure, I think it was a Bullet Seed there. Oh yeah, they brought in a Sunny Cherrim. So in a no shield situation, this would be a very, if it is a shield deficit situation, Alo9 have a problem here because Sunny Cherrim will definitely out spam it. Yeah, I think it only requires 4 Bullet Seeds to the first Weather Ball. And with Sunny Cherrim being very attack weighted, the Fire Weather Ball, is very much going to do a lot of damage on the other Ninetales. On to the next game. Clefable lead. We can't technically swap out because then we'll be vulnerable to whatever anti-charmer that they might have at the back, or that they might possibly have. So we shielded the Psychic, which is a good call because we needed to try to either get the second shield or do as much damage as possible with the Stab Shadow Ball. And now with a even shield scenario, we brought in the other Ninetales and another Flareon in the Great League. I mean, these were battles that were played around like late last week, so that's still in the middle of the Great League or the first few weeks of GBL. So in this instance, Machoke is able to spam the cross chop on the Flareon. Flareon is very frail, so it will not be able to take that much of a hit. And in this case, we couldn't do much because there was no shields left. Machoke will be vulnerable to the player off. And here is more of just trying to do as much damage as possible, trying to stall the clock. Somehow, hopefully they didn't throw their charge move or didn't count it properly. But I know at the back of my head it's game over. You couldn't dish out 4 Psyshocks before they get to 2 charge moves, or even 1 charge move and farming down for that matter. And as you can see, Azu will finish the game with 1 HP and the win. So going on to the second set, it's quite decent. Machoke, I wouldn't say it's the best. Definitely Machamp is better, but just for the fun of it, we're gonna reuse Machoke, right? So in this instance, Galarian Stunfisk, still quite a positive lead for Jellicent. They have to land 2 Earthquakes in order to kill off Jellicent. 1 Earthquake and 1 Rock Slide will not do the job. So we decided to, I believe we shielded, no, we didn't shield. Because we thought that it was quite early and we know we could survive it to throw another Shadow Ball. So they double shielded the Stunfisk. So this is very crucial because having a 2 shield advantage is quite nice, especially when you have Machoke there to aggressively farm. And then they brought in the Skarmory. So in this instance, I had to shield other Ninetales against the Skarmory because I wanted it to come out with health and possibly with energy, so that we can spam the Weather Ball on the unshielded Galarian Stunfisk. And here, because we had a bit of lag just now for a few seconds, I decided to just click it and hopefully it responds immediately. And their last Pokemon is Azumarill. So at this point, it's still a questionable matchup, considering if they had farmed a bit more, they might have been able to flip that matchup with against our other Ninetales. And they tried to switch to Galarian Stunfisk and Rock Slide our other Ninetales, which we immediately recognized and swapped into to soak it on Machoke. And Machoke here with energy is going to hit the return on unshielded Azumarill. Let's see how much it does to Azumarill here from that much health. Okay, so that's around 60% health. Very good. Machoke still does a lot of damage to Azumarill, and as you can see here, Machoke is a Azumarill counter confirmed. Very nice. Cross shot for the win against Azumarill. And going on to the next match, Jellicent versus Togekiss. Another iffy lead because of the very high charm damage, and for us, our damage is mostly from our charge moves. Here, I made sure to try to get the Ice Beam off so that they were not able to sneak in another charm, because especially for high damage fast moves like Charm, if they are able to sneak one in, it is very much detrimental to them. I mean, detrimental to us, because then they will be able to get a lot of damage through, and possibly will not be able to reach that second charge move later on, or another charge move for that matter. And they brought in a Alolan Raichu, and they threw a Grass Knot, which I find is quite interesting, especially when it is paired with Wild Charge. But I assume it is for better coverage, just in case if it is locked into a possible Wish Cache or Swampert for the extra X factor against them. And they brought back in the Alolan Ninetales after you have taken down the Alolan Raichu. Get the Jellicent down, and then we have Azumarill. Shields down again, unfortunately. Machoke will not be able to do much. If we had swapped immediately with Azumarill, maybe we could have gotten to one return, but even then we will most probably not be able to get enough damage from Alolan Ninetales in order to beat the Azumarill in this instance. But wait, maybe it does. I mean, considering we had all 3 mons, and yeah, we managed to get a Shadow Ball from Jellicent as well. Most probably even a cross shot would have done us good here if we had managed to land that on Azumarill. So in that instance, most probably knowing that Machoke would have won CMP tie, I would have just thrown a charge move, get whatever damage I could into that matchup, and that most probably would have won us that match. So in the next match, they counter swap a Water Gun Wish Cache into our Alolan Ninetales. Alolan Ninetales with energy is deadly, guys. As you can see here, 5 Weather Balls to the first, 5 Powder Snows, my bad, to the first Weather Ball, and then 4 to the next. So it alternates between 5 and 4 Powder Snows to a Weather Ball for Alolan Ninetales, and in this case, we let go of the second charge move thrown by the Wish Cache, which would not kill us, definitely. And we let them, and we're gonna throw, I think this is the 4th Weather Ball, since we managed to get both their shields. And here they brought in a Galvantula, another Pokemon that is very problematic for this lineup if Alolan Ninetales is gone, because it will deal neutral damage at best, and Jellicent would take super effective damage in return. So we brought in Jellicent to soak up damage, knowing that it is not any good against the Umbreon. And we can align the Machoke to the Umbreon, and they believe that is game over, which I don't necessarily agree with them. I believe that they had very much a lot of play there. Even though we do still have a shield advantage, Machoke will still not be able to do much against Galvantula. Even though it can spam cross chops, it might not be as good. So I think this is the second to last battle. We counter swap Alolan Ninetales into their Electrode safe swap. We were a bit late on the swap, and we were not able to throw the charge move before they threw their second Jace charge. So at this point, I know that I can out spam them to our third Weather Ball before they get to a third discharge, and hoping that it will do enough damage to take out the Electrode. And let's see whether, and unfortunately it was not enough to kill the Electrode. They managed to get another Volt Switch in order to, before they take us out. And we brought in Jellicent here, knowing that Jellicent, a 3-turn fast move, will definitely get to it faster than the 4-turn fast move of Volt Switch. And they have a Shadow Executor, which is very frightening, especially if it had energy. You have wrecked Jellicent as well as Machoke. But Jellicent here, clean house, throwing the Shadow Ball on the Toxicroak, and for Machoke to just Karate Chop the Toxicroak back to where it came from. Going back to the swamps, I guess, is where frogs come from, I'm not sure. And here we have I guess the best battle for them, not necessarily for us. In this match, you will see later, the one Pokemon that will I would say one of 2 Pokemon that will totally wreck our backline. So they have a Wigglytuff lead here, which is not good for us because Jellicent will not be able to do any damage with our fast move effects because it's double resisted by the normal sub-typing. But here their Ice Beam did not manage to kill us off before we are able to get to a second Ice Beam, and we were able to take one shield off of them, and they have a Victini at the back. So especially when they have a shield up, Machoke would not be able to do much because obviously when they know that there's a purified Machoke, most probably it has a return. So obviously the safe call will be to use that one shield that they have, shield it up, and at this point Other than Ninetales is just a sitting duck, or in this case a sitting fox. Even with the side shock damage, we're not able to put in enough work in order to stop Victini from going for a double V create to take out our other Ninetales. So yeah, that's it for our video of Machoke. I would rate it out of 10, maybe around a 6 or 6.5 if I'm being generous. It's quite decent bulk. It can take a few hits, but in shields down scenario, that's where it shines. It will able to hit that return, especially to the Azus that you would see commonly in the meta, or even other Pokemon that you might see. But if you are able to, if you like this video, if you like what you see with Machoke in the Great League, do hit the like button and subscribe. If you have any tips for me or any suggestions on what other Pokemons you want me to use, do drop a comment down below, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.